Welcome everyone, welcome to my channel and another stream and another chapter. Chapter 3, I believe. Working on that guy right there. That guy right there. That is our 1969 Dodge Charger, 1/25th scale by MPC. We're building a General Lee from the I was going to say movie, but yeah, it's a movie, but also TV show, Dukes of Hazzard. We'll run the intro, we'll get into it, okay? Okay guys, we are back and we're going to continue on. We got the engine mostly assembled. Okay, here's our little engine here. Move these off to the side. Here's a little engine here. Let's take a look at the overhead camera so we can have a good look at her. Here's our engine now. Okay, that's the way she looks. Did a little bit of silver dry brush on our valve covers to get that Mopar to stick out. I just have that fan stuck on there just for as a test fit to see how that fits. That's not glued on or anything. So there's our front. The fan belt I just took, like I showed you last time, I just took some masking tape and wrapped it around there, glued it onto basically on the side of the crankshaft pulley, and then just painted it with some rubber colored paint. And there we go, some rubber black. That's our engine so far. Okay, I took our carburetors and I did a little paint on our carburetors there. So our carburetors are ready to go on. Okay, and so I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to start off getting our carbs glued on there, and we'll do that. Yeah. So again, we need the CA glue. I still don't know why my bottle is sticking out of the bottom like it's expanded or something. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. Okay, actually I want to change my glasses before we get into this. Before I get doing anything, let me change my glasses. Okay. Get some CA. Oh yeah, that's plugged. That ain't gonna work at all. We gotta, like I mentioned a few times, my CA is reaching the end of its serviceable life, and yeah, it's just the way it is. Let's change the camera. Okay, we got 3 carbs because it's a 6-pack. This is a 440 6-pack engine. 6-pack, of course. 3 times 3 2-barrel carburetors. So 3 times 2 is 6. Wow, we did math today. So these guys are going to go on here, and they're going to go, I believe they go this way, with the fuel bowl facing the rear. I better just double check that before I say anything more. I want to double check that to make sure. Let's just double check. Find a picture of a 440 6-pack. And actually it looks like they go towards the front. Yes, they go towards the front. They go forward. Okay, so that's what my problem is. Oh yeah, where's my picture? Where's my picture? Here we go. Alright. So the fuel bowls go forward, not rear. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. Did that change anything? I don't know. Okay, so these guys, they go forward. Bingo, like that. Okay, so let's get some glue out of this thing. So I fish my little wand in there. Get some glue on there. Grab this guy. Lined up. Hopefully get them straight before, well, I was going to say before the glue cures. This glue, because of the fact that it's kind of gotten thick on me, this was like super extra thin glue. This was like Tamiya extra thin. But because I've had it for a while and it's been exposed to air and stuff like that many times, it's thickened up on me and has become like extra thick. And therefore, it takes a little longer to dry. Which is good because that gives me that extra second or 2 or 3 or 5 to get them lined up. It's amazing they just fit on there. Alright, one more to go. I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna have to pause this. Hold on. Hello? Yes. Hi. Okay. Yep. Okay. No. No, it's not his. It could be, yeah. No problem. Yeah, no problem. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Okay. So, our carburetors are on. 3 2-barrel carburetors installed. Just like that. And in theory, our air cleaner will fit right over top of them. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. Almost like it's functional, right? How about that? Yeah. Okay. So, we have our spark plug wires. We need 4 of them going over this side and 4 of them going that side. So I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3. Let's grab one from the front here. That's actually not from the front. Where's my front one? When I painted them, a couple of them got stuck together. There we go. We got to unstick them. So I want this wire. There we go. One thing that inevitably happens is I have wires that are not long enough. That's wonderful. That is a terrible situation. My wires are not long enough to fit on this side. We're just barely long enough to fit into the number 1. Well, I call it number 1. To be honest, guys, I don't even know the firing order of this engine. I haven't got a clue. I could just fudge it maybe and just leave them like that, because we're going to have the headers coming down over on this thing. Let me find my headers. Where are the headers? Here we are. I mean, my headers don't even match the ports on there anyway. But I think if we just go like that, that's good enough. And I think we can get away with that. And just kind of tuck the wires down underneath the exhaust manifold or header pipe. And you get the idea. There's spark plugs wires going in there. Yeah, I think that's good enough. This side, however, we can do All of them except our coil wire. All of them go down underneath there. Do that. We are long enough for this side. You know, that's because I'm used to something like a Ford engine or a Chevy engine, where the Chevy engine would be center in the back here, Ford would be in the center on the front. But now I've got a Dodge engine, which I'm not used to at all. And yeah. So much for that. I want to make these sag a little bit, so we're gonna do this. Tuck them down in there. Don't want my spark plug wires. Spark plug wires never look natural if they're in the air. Okay, so keep that in mind with your wires. Don't leave your wires up in the air. They should never be in the air. They should sag. Okay. Spark plug wires have some weight to them, and so they should look like they weigh something. So I'm just going to leave these off to the side, and once it comes time to put the exhaust manifolds on, or the header, then I will worry about the routing on that side. These are going to go underneath the exhaust manifold anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I want to take a look at the instructions and see where we're at here. Okay. Because I'm feeling like the engine is at a point where I'm probably close to done, and I want to work on something else. Because this is all done, basically, it should be done. But our exhaust pipes are not. The next thing, that's step one, is they want you to assemble the wheels, but we're not there yet, are we? Step two is the engine. Step three is the chassis. So we need to do I need to do some primering. Right? I got to get the chassis ready for some paint. I need to get this stuff ready. I need to primer this thing. This kit needs some primer. Okay. So I think really what needs to be done is I need to primer this thing. I need to get some primer sprayed on all of our parts, because we can't assemble any of it if it's not primered, and it's not going to look right if it's not painted, right? And it is easier to paint it all, or to assemble it, to paint it first and then assemble it. And it's easier. I really did not come into this episode prepared. I admit that. And I apologize. I'm not prepared. So the primer I'm going to use, just to get primer onto this thing, I'm going to use some Rust-Oleum 2X Ultra Cover Gray Primer. Also bonds to plastic. That's what this stuff does. So I'm going to shake this up a bit, and let's spray a few things with some gray primer. Now, unlike something like Mr. Hobby or Tamiya paint, which would be better actually, and you know what, now that I think about it, I'm not going to use this. Because of time constraints, I'm going to fire up my compressor, and I'm going to use Mr. Surfacer 1500 Gray. That's what we're going to primer this thing in. At least the chassis we're going to do. The body I'm going to primer in white, because she's going to be painted orange. She is going to be the General Lee after all. So I need to primer the body in white because I want the orange to really pop right on the first coat. If I try and paint it over gray or even black, I'm going to need to put so many more coats down to get it to cover, and I don't want to do that. So again, I apologize. I did not really, I really should prepare my stuff a little better beforehand. Before I hit the record button, I really should be a little more prepared. but I'm not. So I apologize. Sorry about that. The engine looks cool though. The engine does look cool. Even our fan, you know, I gotta paint that. I just haven't decided whether that fan is gonna be silver or it's gonna be black. We got some pretty nasty looking ejector marks on the back of that chassis. Look at the size of those ejector pins. Look at those things. Those are plugs. Like, holy crap, man. That is nasty. I'm surprised this even fit in the body. Of course, the body is hollow here. Speaking of ejector pins, like, wow. I guess she fits. I say I guess because I don't know for sure. Could be why she was, why this piece was broken in the kit, because she doesn't fit. Let's try. Shove that down all the way in there. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think that's not going to really make any difference. It looks okay there now. Yeah. She'll be all right. Okay. Let's spray paint this thing gray. Okay, change the camera. Again, like I said, I don't have my other camera set up. Battery's probably dead on it. So we're gonna just spray this thing with some gray. We're getting there. Okay, so we've got some pumpkin. I'm guessing the Mr. Surfacer is an old stock. Why would, I'm not sure why. Is it because of the label? It could be old stock. I don't know. So yeah, we got our bottom of the chassis primered gray now. Our wonderful government band, Mr. Hobby. Oh, you can't get it at... Well, you know, as soon as I heard that you can't get this in Canada anymore, I went on AliExpress and I bought like 10 jars of it. So yeah, you can still get it. But yeah, as soon as I heard that they're not going to be stocking it in the stores because our government is stupid. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to get primered was the air horns. See, I actually had a little bit of a problem with getting the air horns to print for this thing, because I'm trying to print these things so small. Let me change the camera so you can actually see what I'm talking about here. These little guys here, these are the air horns that are going to go underneath the hood. As you can tell, I've printed many versions of them at different angles because I was having such troubles getting them to print. So I wanted to, I had them all nicely designed on Tinkercad, and they were great and they looked great, but every time they would print, they'd fail. There's like partial horns, partial this, and just have a bunch of supports, and that was it. It would not work at all. I went back in Tinkercad trying to figure out, okay, what is it that's causing this problem? And it turns out because the horn was actually like a realistic horn. It was totally hollow down the center of it. It's trying to print the wall of the horn at like, you know, as thin as my hair. And that's why it was failing. So I just filled them in solid, so it's a solid horn. And so it's not actually a horn anymore, it's just shaped like one. And put them all in a different orientation, and I got 100% success this time. Figure that out, eh? So anyway, I'm just going to primer these, since these are cured and done. And I've got everything all done right now anyway, so let's get these primered. And I'll pick the nicest looking one when it's all done. See which one I'm actually going to keep. Okay, what else did I need to do? Well, now that I've pulled the exhaust header off of there, and you know, it's lovely that they put an ejector pin right on the pipe and have it so that it's a great big nub sticking out the side of it. I don't know how many times I've wished that Tamiya made American muscle cars, so we get some Tamiya quality in our molds and sculpts and stuff like that. That would be really nice. And the fitment would be great, you know, just the way Tamiya is in their engineering. That would be really nice. But unfortunately, we don't have that, do we? We want American muscle cars. We're stuck with companies like this. And that's just the way it is. So I'm going to go ahead and primer some of these other bits here that I'm going to have to deal with later. I have seen some guys on like the Facebook forums basically complaining about this kit. Complaining that this kit sucks. And as much as I would probably agree, I really don't know. As you guys know, you guys who watch my stuff, I built you know, Dom's 1970 Charger from Fast and Furious, and I'm assuming the kit is pretty much the same mold. It's pretty close anyway. I mean, it's, except for front and rear, the body's gonna be similar. I'm pretty sure all the parts inside are probably really similar. I can't see it being that much different. Unless, of course, maybe it's AMT that makes Dom's Charger, which of course then would be different molds and would make sense why it's different. I hate spray painting the inside of interior buckets. So I get overspray coming right back in my face. So I'm gonna turn on my fan. I am going to have to do something about these enormous ejector pin marks on the floor of this thing. Ejector pin marks on the floor of this thing are just humongous. Humongous eyesores. Show you guys. Let me change the camera here to show you just how big these things are. The ejector pin marks on the floor of this car, you know, right in each corner. That is so just, yeah, holy crap. Like, yeah, I can understand why people would complain about that. I'm complaining about it. I get it. Where's the rest of my parts here? I was not expecting this to be a priming episode, to just sit here and put my back to you guys and primer everything. Was not really expecting that, and yet here I am, with my back turned to you and priming all these parts. One good thing about priming this stuff in a light color is you get to see things like your ejector pins and whatever that might need to be fixed up before you actually put your paint down. Kind of funny, you know. I think back to my younger days when I used to build models as a kid. As a kid, I never primered anything. I never primered anything as a kid because, after all, it's just a model, and it doesn't really matter if the paint's, you know, going to stand up to weather and stuff like that. That's what I used to think, anyway. That's what I used to think as a kid. It's, you know, what's the point? Don't need to primer. It's just a waste of time. You only do primer if you're painting something that's going to be outdoors. You know, might get worn off or something like that. That's what I used to think. And although that's kind of true, primer does help in paint adhesion and stuff like that. But another thing primer does is it helps the paint lay down nice and smooth. And you get much better coverage when you primer something because now that it's ready to accept more paint. That's been my experience with primer. There are a couple of pieces here that I'm not sure what they are. I'm not talking about my steering wheel. It's pretty obvious what the steering wheel is. But we got a couple pieces on here that I'm not sure that looks like some kind of interior piece or something, but I don't know for sure. But then again, it could be, no, I take that thought back, take that back. It's not what that is. I'm not even going to tell you what stupid thought that was. Dashboard looks pretty good. We're good with that. Okay. Next. Looks like our bucket seats for the front with a shit ton of flash on there. Pardon my French. One thing that is cool, they've got seat belts molded onto the seats. Look at all the flashing on this. Terrible. Huge flashing. Where's my knife? Huge flash. Let me show you. Change the camera again. Look at this. This is just disgusting. Look at this. Big panels of flash. Look at this on here, on the side of the seat. This seat's got a wing on it. You turn the seat into an airplane wing. Like, come on, guys. Fix your mold. I understand that this thing was probably originally molded in like 1984 or something like that. But, you know, if you're going to redo it, redo it. I'm going to kind of file this down a little bit since it's going to be filed down anyway. If I do this now, then I won't have to do it after I primer. See, after I've got this done, you'll see the seat belts molded in on here. Which is kind of a neat little touch for as terrible of a mold. They took the trouble to mold the seat belts onto it. Such a rare thing. Here. See? We got seat belts molded into the seats. That is cool. That is very rare. You don't see that very often in these kits at all. I've got side roll bars. Now the roll bars, they give us like a full roll cage in this kit. But the car doesn't actually have a full roll cage in it. Never did. Well, I mean, sure, the stunt cars did, of course. But, you know, Sorry, Bo and Luke ain't gonna be jumping in the doors when you've got a big bar going across. Sorry, that just ain't happening. Yes, I'm primering the bush bar, even though the bush bar is going to be black, and yeah, you still got to do it. But another thing that primering it does, like I'll show you again here, before primering, it's difficult to see the kind of flashing and stuff that needs to be cleaned up. So you see those big two big nub things on the bars. So we get to clean those up. If I can focus on the stupid thing. Yeah, we can clean those up and get that thing looking a lot nicer. But if I just left it black, I would not have really noticed that very much, right? So yeah, there's that. One final tree is really just center console and some engine stuff, and I don't know what the heck that is, but I'll primer it. And then of course our wheels and our wheel axle things. I still haven't decided whether I'm actually going to keep this engine that comes in this kit as a spare. Chances are no. Now, it would have been smarter. What I should have done is I primered the wheels black. That would have been a smarter way to go. And so I'm not going to bother priming these anymore. I'm going to wait and get some black in my airbrush. And I'll primer them black. I'm not sure why they gave me two different distributors. It comes with two different distributor caps for some reason. You only get one engine, but you get two distributor caps, and they both look a little bit different. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, why you have these two options of distributor caps. I haven't got a clue. Guys. I don't know. So that's it. Primering is done. Primer's done. Okay, so now I got to clean up my airbrush. So you guys watching me live, you get to watch me clean my airbrush. You guys who are not watching live, and you're watching me on YouTube, yeah, I'll cut the video right about here. With the airbrush clean, we can look at something else. So, with the amount of time I have left, there's not really that much else I can do. I mean, yeah, I can spray paint the chassis black because it should be black. I mean, technically it should be kind of orangey color, but I'm thinking it just needs to be cleaned up. We need a lot of cleanup. I'll go change the camera. Let's just clean up all of our parts, and that's what I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes or so, is cleaning up all this stuff, so you get an idea of what is necessary. I'm seeing some flash, a lot of flash on a lot of parts everywhere. A lot of flash that just needs to be cleaned up. Places like this, right across here, where it's just, you know, where the molds came together, they didn't go together very well. And it's just, nothing is really precise. It's not clean. It's not straight. You've got all this gibble and weird little markings and stuff like that. Look at all that on the wheel well. What are all those little bumps? You know, I have no idea what those bumps are, right? This side looks like we've got some attempts at wiring, looking like wire harness, but again, what are all those bumps all about? And just the cleanliness of the mold, like along in here, it just looks like garbage. It really does. Big mold line right there. And right here too. It really ruins the illusion of this being a pipe of some sort, or a rod. And it just, like, as much as I, you know, you could just do all this, and you could just leave all this and not worry about it, and you'd have a kit that's decent. But I don't know, for me, I like to see it a little bit cleaner. Like, it's, come on, guys. Just come on. I can understand why now. I've seen so many people on Facebook complaining about this kit. It's just the quality of the mold is just, I want to say, it's not garbage. Garbage is a strong word. Subpar, substandard maybe. It's just, it's rough. It's like it just wasn't cleaned up. A whole bunch of really rough stuff going on there on this outer fender wall, I guess you want to call it. It's an inner fender wall really, but sort of kind of. It's just all this stuff really looking, like I said, it's just kind of substandard. It's not very nice at all. And a whole bunch of flash all the way along this edge, where this frame rail is supposed to be nice and flat and smooth. Well, that ain't the case here. That is not the case here. I want to do this. Like, that's awful. Look at that. You can see how much I'm shaving off there just to get this lined up with the frame rail. Like, wow. Now, you guys saw me do a little test fit there, and that it didn't affect the way it fits, but maybe when we actually have interior on this thing, that actually might affect it. I don't know. It might not. I'm not sure. It's just, I feel like I'm complaining a lot about this. I don't want to complain about this kit. The kit looks nice, okay? It's just, having to do all this is kind of like it feels like it's a waste of time. This big thing on there. It's just, it feels like something you shouldn't have to do. That's what it is. It just feels like I should not have to do all this. And if this was a Tamiya kit, yeah, you wouldn't have to do all this, because Tamiya's molds are much sharper. Okay, we're kind of looking better. Still kind of crappy, but it's this crossbar should not have little things sticking out of it. A lot of little things sticking out on the frame of this car that should not be sticking out anywhere. Okay, she's looking a little crisper now that we've cleaned up a whole bunch of things. She's looking better. And you know, I gotta say, for all the trouble I'm spending on this, how many times am I going to actually pick this up and look underneath of it and see the underneath? You know, not very much. So that's another thing. How much work do you really want to do on a kit or on a model that you're only going to pick up, you know, a couple of times and actually look at underneath? Especially if you're like one of these guys who put them in a display case and then you're never looking underneath of them, you're never picking it up and looking at your interior. Yeah, why do you bother going through all this trouble if you're never going to look at the underneath? If it's going to go in a display case where you're never really going to look at it again except from one particular angle or a couple of angles, and that's it. And this is really redundant, irrelevant work. Useless, right? Okay, there's that. I want to paint this black. Okay, I feel like the most popular thing to do in the early 70s was to paint your undercarriage black, and I think that's what they probably did. There's that weird box that I was wondering what that thing is. I have no idea what that is, and of course they don't call it out on here. They don't tell you what anything is in this kit. But that little box, I was wondering what that is. That apparently goes right there. I don't know what that is. You guys know your Dodge Chargers, your 1969 Dodge Charger? Let me know what number 1 is there. What is that? Or, yeah, what is that there? It goes back there on the underneath of the chassis. I don't know what that is. I have never seen that in a car before, so I don't know. So please let me know. Okay, the other part I didn't know what it was this thing here. It's some kind of a grill thing. It's a grill thing. I don't know. I ain't putting that in. That ain't right. That boy ain't right. Anyway, there's really not a lot to this kit. When I look at all the parts, there's not a lot. It's all about painting it up. 90% of this kit is going to be painting. And of course, installing the engine. So, I think what I really need to do is think about getting a bunch of painting done so that when I'm actually recording a video, we can focus more on assembly. Right? Because watching me with my back turned painting is not entertaining. As much as I know some of you guys do like to watch me paint, but when it comes to just primering a chassis, I know that's not worth it. So, yes, I'm going to be prepared more next time, I promise, okay? I'm going to do some painting and stuff like that off camera. We'll get that taken care of so that I can focus more on assembly so you guys can see how this kit goes together. The engine is looking pretty good. I am going to do a little bit of, I want to do some black panel liner in there and make her look a little less brand new. Okay. Yeah. So, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for all the support. Do check out the description box down below where you find some links to my other things like my Instagram and my Twitch and stuff like that. And if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button too if you like this stuff, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about me and this stuff, and if I'm doing it wrong or if you think I'm doing it right. Either one, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.